Hi everyone, this is Dr. Nitin Choda and welcome to this episode of Ignition Time. Thank you so much for being a viewer and a subscriber. If you're not a subscriber yet, please consider clicking the like button. Please subscribe, please enable notifications. President Biden spoke about the $1.9 trillion American Rescue Plan when he was asked to comment about it just recently in the past 24 hours. And he said it's time to come roaring back. In fact, he said now is the time to go big and we can come roaring back. In some very interesting comments, he referred to former President Trump as the former guy. He said, and I'm quoting him, he said, "This is the first time in my career, and as you can tell, I'm over 30, the first time in my career that there's a consensus amongst economists, left, right, and center, that in order to grow the economy down the line, we cannot spend too much. Now is the time to go big." Let's take a look at interesting comments from President Biden about the importance of the $1.9 trillion American Rescue Plan. For many of our viewers and subscribers, it's about putting food on the table. We need quick cash now. We need to be able to make rent. We need to be able to pay our bills. We need to be able to keep the lights on, literally, in some parts of the country. Let's take a look at important comments from President Biden in the past 24 hours about the $1.9 trillion American Rescue Plan. Let's watch.
You've made passing a COVID relief bill the focus of your first 100 days. Those on the right say the proposal's too big. Some on the left say it's not big enough. Are you committed to passing $1.9 trillion bill, or is that final number still up for negotiation?
I'm committed to pass. Look, here's some of you are probably economists or college professors or you teach it in school. This is the first time in my career, and as you can tell, I'm over 30, the first time in my career that there is a consensus among economists, left, right, and center, that is and including the IMF and in Europe, that the overwhelming consensus is in order to grow the economy a year, 2, 3, and 4 down the line, we can't spend too much. Now's the time we should be spending. Now's the time to go big. You may recall I managed the last experiment we had with stimulus, and it was no, I don't mean it that way, but it was $800 billion. We thought we needed more than that, and we think we did. It ended up working, but it slowed things up by about, and depending who you talk to, between 6 months and a year and a half. We can come back, we can come roaring back. It's estimated that if by most economists, including Wall Street firms, as well as think tanks political think tanks, left, right, and center, it is estimated that if we pass this bill alone, we'll create 7 million jobs this year. 7 million jobs this year. And so the thing we haven't talked about, and I'm not going to go on because I want to hear your question, I apologize. We haven't talked about, I remember you and I talking during the campaign, and you had the former guy saying that, well, we're just going to open things up and that's all we need to do. We said, no, you got to deal with the disease before you deal with getting the economy going. Well, the fact is that the economy now has to be dealt with. And what is it? Look at all the people. You have over 10 million people unemployed. We need unemployment insurance. We need to make sure that, you have 40% of the children in America talk about food shortage. 60% of it. Did you ever think you'd see a day in Milwaukee? You'd see in the last 6 months people lining up in their automobiles for an hour or for as far as you could see to get a bag of food? This is the United States of America, for God's sake. We can't deal with that. We promised, look at all the people who are on the verge of being kicked out of their apartments because they cannot afford the rent. What happens when that happens? Look at all the mom and pop landlords that are in real trouble if we don't subsidize this in the meantime. Look at all the people who are on the verge of missing, and how many people have missed their last 2 mortgage payments and are able to be foreclosed on. That's why I took executive action to say they cannot be foreclosed on in the meantime. Because look at what the impact on the economy would be. You think it's bad now, let all that happen. Look at all the people who have lost their insurance. How many, I'm not asking for show of hands, how many of you had jobs with corporations or companies that provided health care, the Cobra health care? Well, guess what? The company goes under, and guess what? You lose your health insurance. Well, we should be making sure you're able to pay for that so that we keep people moving. So there's a lot. So I think bigger, and the vast majority of the serious people say bigger is better now, not spending less.
Now, folks, two things that were very noteworthy was that the president outright rejected a proposal from the Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer and Elizabeth Warren and many others, including Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, to forgive up to $50,000 in student debt per borrower. He simply said he was not going to do it. He said he would do $10,000, but no more. So you can be assured that many progressive elements within the Democratic Party are going to be very upset with that. I think President Biden is trying to walk the fine line between the Democrats and the Republicans as best as he can, and in the process, he's definitely going to make some people unhappy on the right or the left. It's very unlikely that you're going to see all the Democrats and all the Republicans say "Kumbaya" to President Biden. So this is just part of normal politics, and this is just par for the course. On your screen, you'll see a letter that was addressed to President Biden urging him to speed up the efforts for the stimulus and act faster, because there are certain progressive groups thinking that the president is not moving fast enough. Let's jump to the second paragraph in the letter. The bad news is that Democrats risk lagging behind their 2009 pace, referring to 2009 stimulus, delaying much needed relief for a world that continues to burn, families wrought by the pandemic, and Americans facing the everyday violence of poverty. And so the letter makes a series of suggestions to the Biden administration, and the suggestions are as follows. You'll see the letter on your screen. To make sure President Biden's first 100 days are a resounding success, we call on leaders in Congress to unify the country against Republicans, legislate aggressively, center democracy reform, and number 3, reform the rules to pass big, bold, and popular solutions. And also a comment about the Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell towards the end of the letter. You'll see this on your screen. We also know that Mitch McConnell will do whatever he can do to thwart any success that would allow Democrats to motivate their voters back to the polls next year. His pursuit is power, not progress. Democratic Party leaders must be clear-eyed about this. And now let's go to the ending of the letter, where the letter ends by saying, the 21st of April 2021 will mark 100 days for the new administration and 75 days of unified Democratic control of Washington. Now, the 75 days starts from the 5th of January, when Jon Ossoff, there he is, John, what's up? And Reverend Raphael Warnock, there he is, hello, Reverend, where the two of them helped the Democrats regain control of the Senate by winning the Georgia Senate runoff races. So that is what the 75 days of Democratic control, unified Democratic control of Washington refers to in the letter. Let's get back to the letter. The letter ends by saying, what will President Biden, Leader Schumer, and Speaker Pelosi have to show for it? So folks, as you can see, despite President Biden's push for the American Rescue Plan, there are those who think he's not moving fast enough. And of course, on the other side, we have Republicans like Rand Paul from Kentucky. What's up, Rand? And Rick Scott from Florida. There he is. What's up, Rick? And of course, the Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell. There he is. Essentially, President Biden is in a situation where it's impossible to appease everyone. But I do want to know what you think in the comment section below. Let me know what you think about the current state of the stimulus negotiations, and also these opinions, if you will, from progressives within the Democratic Party and conservatives within the Republican Party. Thank you so much for watching. Please click like, please subscribe, please enable notifications. That would mean a lot to me personally. I would really appreciate that. If you click the like button, I can promise you that President Biden, there he is, will be happy. And I can also promise you that all our conservative friends, Rand Paul, Rick Scott, there they are. What's up, guys? Will also be happy. Please click the like button. Thank you so much for watching. I'm looking forward to seeing you in the next episode of Ignition Time. Take care. Bye.